Hi, my name is Molly, and if you want to learn more about Glass Slipper, which is Cinderella with a twist, please watch this video. The reason I got involved in theater originally was my mom was a theater kid. Me and my sister, we grew up in the theater as well. Lived about 45 minutes north of Minneapolis. So then we got to go to, they have a huge theater district there. And so it just felt like as we were growing up, the tie and draw to theater and the way that it expresses so many different stories, it's different than watching a movie. Like you watch a movie and it's right there and you can pause and play and pause, but everything in the theater world is just one show is so different from the other. So I think it's that one of a kind experience just draws me into the whole theater world. Writing has always come naturally, I think, when you come down and think about it. So when I first started writing was obviously when they start having you write essays in school. And the idea of creating this own world was what really got me interested in it. And I think it became an obsession when I started creative writing, because then you could research. And I loved researching, I could do this storyline, or I could do, if I add this, I have to do this. It's just the idea of you see the world one way, and then you can create a character and they can see the world completely different from you, especially in a more obsessed with fairy tales and Disney. And so the idea of this world lives completely different than our own. So they have dragons and magic, or they have wizards. The idea that you can play around with those mythical races and those mythical settings just made it more of an obsession. I like writing dialogue between two different people. So when you write a novel, you have to come up with more descriptions towards like what the scene looks like. But when you first write a play, it's a lot of dialogue based. So you're imitating how two characters would interact with each other, or how a character interacts with their own environment. And that way it connects with me more because talking to people, and I like learning other people's experiences. And I think when you add that idea of more dialogue focused, you get more people's points of view with a story. In my playwriting process, I start with, so far in a lot of my writings, I've started with the idea of a fairy tale. So the play for Talking It Out is about sort of Cinderella. And so then I take Cinderella and I put them in a modern setting and deal with modern issues. But when I'm writing in general, an idea pops in my head and I just write everything I can think of about it. And then I research it a little bit. So if it's dealing with a mental health disorder, or it's dealing with some kind of drug or other modern world issues, or even fantasy world issues, I feel like I have to research it to come across it a little bit more. And then I take that and I add elements to that slowly. And then I speak it out. So I'll take a friend and we'll read each line to make it sound like it's a human person saying it and not just one sort of character. And then you add more details and more elements that make it a full story. I came across the Talking It Out festival through just looking up 10-minute play festivals online. I came across Talking It Out and I found out it goes towards supporting mental health awareness. That really resonated with me because like we're just slowly talking more about different mental health issues. And as someone who struggles with like depression, having something I wrote go towards mental health makes me feel good. This specific story, Glass Slipper, my have to write it was for a playwriting class I was taking in college. And I had to write it as our final project for our 10-minute festival that we were doing. But the idea, originally, it was just a girl dealing with a therapist and talking back and forth. And I had struggles when I was younger where I had family members who would not fully understand that mental health recovery takes time. And so it evolved from a girl talking to a therapist to more of a girl dealing with two different people in her life, one who was willing to wait for that growth and the other who just wanted her to get better for the sake of getting better. And so since I had this opportunity to really have class time focus on a play, almost being forced to write it helped spur that process along of portraying a mental health issue in a different way. Well, there are three main characters in Glass Slipper. There's Ella, who is the Cinderella character. She's going through recovery from post-traumatic stress disorder from growing up in an abusive household. Then there's Nicole, her roommate and best friend, who is sort of a fairy godmother-like character. And then there's Princeton, who is her boyfriend, her Prince Charming. And it follows Ella's start of recovery, and it deals with right after she goes to the ball. She thinks that there was this magical ball where Princeton saved her, and she got out of her hellhole and is now in a fairy tale life. But it's harder than that because you have to recover from the abusive trauma that you've dealt with all these years. And so it's going towards recovery, but it's slow because recovery takes time and it's different for everyone. And she's dealing with the people in her life reacting to her going to therapy and dealing with her past. I think the most important thing I'd like the audience to get out of Glass Slipper is everyone takes their own time. And while it might be more convenient for us to just ask our relatives, hey, how much longer are we going to have to deal with you like this? It doesn't always feel like it takes forever for the person dealing with it. They have to take their own time, and they need loved ones and surrounding members of their community to really be there for every step of that journey and to really focus on letting them grow and letting them recover in their own time and not being so focused on, well, we need you to get better for this, or we want you to get better for this. It's more of a, we want you to take your time, because if your growth is hindered in some way, it could really mess up your recovery. I'm really excited to see during the Talking Out Festival. One, I love seeing different portrayals of the characters I've written, because when you're a playwright, you see the characters one way, but a director might take it in a completely different direction. An actor might take it in a completely different direction. So just watching characters be different portrayals than how you originally might have pictured them in your head. And I'm also really excited to watch the other plays to see what their experience with mental health is, or what their plan, like how they want to showcase their mental health journey too. I think viewers should attend the Talking Out Festival because it's an experience. It's a new way of seeing different mental health stories played out. It's a once in a lifetime experience of seeing these plays all collected together. It's everyone's mental health journey, and it would be wonderful to see essentially a once in a lifetime collection of them all together. I feel like events like the Talking It Out Festival are very important because we need to start talking more about mental health. We have this stigma of, well, we can talk about it, but it doesn't happen to everyone. And I feel everyone has their own mental health journey, and everyone has these experiences. And the more we talk about it, and the more that they're not just, well, we're going to take this in a metaphorical sense, the more we literally talk, the better we are going to be as a society in the act of talking about mental health. It's a lot more enriching when you can just go into your local community. You can work with community members. You can see people that you spend time with every day, and you can watch them create art and give kids an experience and give adults an experience. It's a way of uplifting your own community. And I think any type of theater enriches a community. So if you have a local theater, a community theater, you have to, as a society and as a community, build that up as a way of helping your societies thrive. I'm a huge fan of Disney. And so one of the biggest parts about the Glass Slipper in particular is there are so many little Disney jokes, almost like there'll be like references to fairy tales, or as my professor would always say, make it more Disney, add more little Disney jokes. And so there are a lot of those little, because we still should laugh during even if it's sometimes talking about a more serious issue. I think little moments of laughter make it easier to process. And so there are little Disney references and little fairy tale references all sprinkled throughout it. Hi, my name is Molly Peterson, and if you enjoyed our conversation about Glass Slipper, please check out the Talking It Out Festival.